and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Thank you for coming tonight. As always, we will discuss our mission, state our mission, right? Our mission is to encourage everyone to see and be their personal best through successful learning experiences. Become your best. I would like to make a slight change to the current agenda as proposed or as written. Wondering if it'd be okay with everybody to move line item 7, which is the approval of the Durego Theater Company. If we can move that up to before buildings and grounds.
Correct. So that would be turned in, that would change into number 6.
Would that be all right if I could get a motion in a second?
I make a motion, we rearrange the agenda to put number 7 before number 6. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right. Then we'll move to item number 5. We need to consider the approval of the consent agenda as adopted. Approve the minutes of May 20th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Approve the financial report for the period July 1st, 2024 through May 31st, 2025. Approve bills for the period May 1st, 2025 through May 31st, 2025 in the amount of $2,375,418.49. Could I get a motion and a second?
I move we adopt the agenda and consent agenda as an order of business.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes. And then I move that we approve the consent agenda as adopted.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving to item number 7, to consider the approval of the contract with Durego Theater Company. Dina.
Yes, so we had a lengthy discussion at the last meeting. Scott had gone back to our attorney, and the one recommendation he made, which has been changed in your contracts, was to remove the letter G, which was a termination due to lack of space. So that reads, if any time the district is unable to provide space required by Durego, I had it right before. This agreement shall automatically terminate upon written notice to Durego. So that has been crossed out, and other than that, everything has stayed the same. Oh, and the insurance line was also,
There was. There was a line in here.
Is it a-
That said something about, they had a 6A. I don't think it's on.
all right, so I'm gonna,
This is different language. 6A is different.
okay, sorry, and 6A has different language. So,
Is it? Do you have the old one?
yeah, it looks like the line that says the district shall be named as an additionally insured on such coverage. Looks like that line
Yep,
was removed.
yep.
Did anybody have any additional questions? I don't either. I guess we need to consider the approval of the contract. If I could get a motion and a second.
I move we consider the approval of the contract with the Durego
Sorry.
Theater Company.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right. You're a free man. For now. All right, moving on to item number 6, Finance, Buildings, and Grounds. Need to consider the updates and changes to the 2024-2025 Support Staff Handbook for the 25-26 school year. Amy Williams.
Yes. In your packets, you received some colorful pages. The first one says, Support Staff Handbook Proposed Changes for 25-26. Do you have it, Erin? Sure. Okay. So I'm going to just quickly go through each of these, and if you have any questions after each one, just let me know, and I can explain why we're proposing the change. The first one is on page 12 regarding special ed aid licenses. The current language states that we would reimburse the full cost of the initial and/or renewal of a special education aid license. We are proposing to change that language to break it down into two different sections. Beginning July 1, 2025, the Plymouth School District shall reimburse the full cost of the initial special education aid license after completion of the 120-day probationary period. So this would be for new employees who would need to get their initial special education aid license. They would pay for it, and then once they've been with us for 120 days, we would reimburse them. And then for any of our current aides who need to renew their license, beginning July 1, 2025, the Plymouth School District shall cover the full cost of the renewal of a special education aid license. So we would just pay for the license, and there would be no reimbursement to employees. Any questions about that? No? Okay.
What's the cost on the initial aid license and then the renewal?
I think they are 100. 100,
Oh,
yeah.
gotcha.
Okay, page 15 has to do with overtime pay. Currently, every type of pay is considered hours worked for overtime. Even like sick time, vacation time, holiday pay, emergency, personal day, and hours worked. We are proposing that approved work over 40 hours a week is classified as overtime, but sick leave, emergency days, and vacation days will not be considered as hours worked when determining qualification for overtime pay. Holiday pay will not be considered hours worked when determining qualification for overtime pay. Any questions about that? Okay. The next one, page 17, we've had long-standing reimbursement for work boots for maintenance and custodial staff, and then for any other staff assigned to the swimming pool. And we are just proposing that we increase that just because those things are so expensive. So we want to change the reimbursement from 50 to 100 for work boots and 30 to 50 for swimwear. On the next page,
Amy?
Yeah,
So, okay, so even though this is in here right now, my feeling is it's part of their job, and I think they should be responsible for it. So, I mean, I know I'm going to get voted down, but, okay, but I'm just stating my opinion.
Sure.
That when you are on a construction site, you buy your boots. You know, when you're a lifeguard, you buy your swimwear. And I know that a lot of the manufacturers around here, companies do put some towards it. We're not a profit school. We're, you know, things are always tight. You know, if we had an abundance, that'd be one thing. So I'm actually not in favor of any of this.
okay,
For,
I appreciate that.
yeah.
I will say, at most, we maybe reimburse 2 people in a year. And this does state that a person can be reimbursed every other year. So it's not every year, but I do appreciate your feedback. On the next page, this is just talking about how leave time is granted in hours, but we do have some support staff that are salaried, and we wanted to just make sure that we had a line in there that salaried support staff leave would be granted in days. It's just a formality. The next one has to do with, while we were going through this, we noticed that on page 28, this section about overtime pay had just some language that didn't match the other section we just talked about. And here it states holiday pay shall not be considered, but other stuff would be. So the proposed language states that, again, sick leave, emergency days, and vacation days would not be considered as hours worked when determining qualification for overtime pay. And then the second part of that, our second shift custodial crew that works beginning at 2:30 or later receives a shift premium of 40 cents per hour. And I believe it's been 40 cents for, I think, 15 years. So we're proposing that that be changed to 50 cents per hour.
Do you have a hard time finding employees that work
Yes.
that shift?
Mm-hmm.
I know a lot of companies now, because of that reason, you know, they've had to up it, and some of them pay up to like $5 more for second shift, but, yeah. Okay, I was just curious.
The next one on page 29, this is an additional benefit. So this is adding language to the support staff handbook. They currently do not have this benefit. Teaching staff have had this benefit for, I think, about 10 years. And this is stating employees eligible to receive full insurance benefits may receive an alternative benefit plan payment in lieu of family health insurance coverage if they are covered by a comparable health insurance plan through another source. The value of the alternative benefit plan is $3,500. Contact the district office for a complete description of this benefit and eligibility requirements. This is the same language that's in the teacher framework. It's the same dollar amount. It's the same requirements. So an employee would have to be eligible for a family plan, i.e. married or have children, and then waive the election of a family health insurance plan to receive the payment of this. A family health insurance plan costs the district on average $21,000. So when someone would choose to do this, it's a savings to the district, but we felt that it was fair to put this in the support staff handbook. Any questions? Discussion about that? No? Okay. Page 33. Oh, this has to do with Group 2 employees, which are typically our secretaries, and them taking vacation time. There's a line in there, you can see in the proposal where I have it struck out. It says the vacation days shall be assigned by administration during periods when school is not in session for students. Long ago when I started, we used to pay the secretary's vacation time during Christmas break and spring break. And it kind of has gone to the wayside over time and hasn't caused disruption. So we talked with principals and they agreed that it's fine for them to be taking some of their vacation days when school is in session. They typically have a sub for the secretary. So we felt it appropriate to take that sentence out so that they had more ability to take vacation when they saw fit. Anyone have any questions about that?
What do you think that will cost?
I don't know. At most, district-wide, maybe $1,000, throughout. There are days that they do take vacation on, like professional development days when we wouldn't need a sub. And some of them do still utilize it over our break time because it's easier to be gone then. But,
That's just the cost of someone to fill in for them.
yeah. It was just getting more difficult to kind of, to make them, and only them, they're the only group that has that language in there, so. The next section, page 34, has to do with vacation rollover, carryover. Currently, support staff, the language is very, I think it's kind of antiquated, dated. It says employees who are required by the employer to defer all or a part of their vacation for a given vacation period may, with the written approval from the business manager and the employee's immediate supervisor, be permitted to take it within the first 6 months of the ensuing vacation year, after which it shall be lost. We typically don't force an employee to defer vacation time, unless it's really dire, like, and a situation would arise that someone would not be able to take vacation. But when an employee has vacation time to carry over, it's not because we told them that they couldn't take vacation time. So we rewrote this, and are proposing the following language. All vacation earned in a vacation year, which is July 1 through June 30, is encouraged to be taken during the subsequent vacation year. Employees are allowed to carry over up to 5 days of vacation time to the subsequent vacation year. Employees can have a maximum number of 27.5 days of vacation at any given time. A day is equivalent to the hours of the employee's normal working schedule per day. If an employee's normal working schedule is 4 hours per day, then 1 day equals 4 hours and 27.5 days equals 110 hours. It was important to put that in there because we have support staff who work different hours during the day, and their schedules are all different. Not everyone works 8 hours where 8 hours is a day. So we could have a food service employee, or we could have a custodial part-time staff who works 4 hours a day, but they're year-round, so they get vacation time. And so 27.5 days of their time converted to hours is going to be different than someone who works 8 hours. So that's why that's in there. But Scott had proposed that we state the number of days someone could carry over to make it easier. Then there's no, gray area or whatever. They can just carry over 5 days, up to 5 days. They have the following year to use it. The max of 27.5 days would be our longest standing employee who falls into the grandfathered language of having 22.5 vacation days, which we maybe only have a couple left, and they would have to carry over 5. But an employee now, the max vacation days that they can earn is 20. So if they carried over 5, the max they would ever have is 25. But we have it as 27.5 because we still have some employees who are here, or who have that many days. So we'd like to change it where they can just carry over a certain number of days, and that's that.
So they have to use that in the following year, right? So they can always only carry 5 over, and then they lose it? We don't do any payout, do we?
No, we
Okay,
don't.
all right.
Right, so that's why that's why we thought it was important to say they can have a maximum of 27 and a half, because if they end a school year with 10 and they earn 20, they would have 30, they will lose 2.5 days.
And we want people taking vacation, right?
We do, that's
For
why.
wellness. I mean, you know,
Like, you're encouraged to be taking it.
it's never good to have people just bank it, get paid for it, so.
Right.
All right.
Okay, last page. Page 34, the current language. We read it, we were all just kind of scratching our head. I know why this is in here, but we haven't had this situation in many years, so we would like it just removed. It just says, in the event that a holiday falls on a regular workday within the week or weeks taken as vacation, such holiday shall not be charged as vacation. If a holiday falls during an employee's vacation week, they shall receive an additional day of paid vacation. Which is confusing, because we don't give them another day of vacation. It's basically saying, if you take a week of vacation and there's a holiday in there, we're only gonna charge you 4 days of vacation, not 5. Because you get paid for the holiday, it's a holiday in the handbook. So we just want this section removed.
Yeah, but I'm just trying to think, wouldn't the 4th of July, I mean, it doesn't make any sense because holidays were not operational, right?
Right, they're not. All I can think is that this is from a union handbook where at some point, maybe a holiday had not been, or what's a holiday now is maybe not a holiday, or it was declared the holiday and they had a week of vacation. This has never been an issue in the time I've been here, so I think it's just best to take it out. And then the next section is a little bit as equally confusing, but we'll just read the first 3 lines. It says, in addition to any holiday benefit provided, non-overtime actual work hours required by the employer, not sick leave, vacation, personal day, etc., or actual or designated holiday dates shall be paid at a 50% premium from the employee's normal paid wage. We just want it to say it shall be paid at 2 times the employee's normal paid wage. Because if they are coming in on a holiday and we are asking them to come in, we would want to pay them 2 times their normal paid wage, because that's what it says down on the sentence second from the bottom. So we want the 2 things to match.
Okay.
So if they came in on a holiday, it's not going to be overtime. They would receive their holiday pay, and then the hours that they worked on the holiday would just be paid at double time if we required them to come in, is what we're saying. That is all of the changes for the support staff handbook.
Do we approve that separately? Okay. So we need to make a motion, a second, to consider the updates and changes to 2024-2025 support staff handbook for the 25-26 school year.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Nay.
All right, and we will consider the updates and changes to the 24-25 teacher employment framework for the 25-26 school year. Amy?
Yes. Okay, this was in your packet also. The first one, page 10, has to do with our tuition reimbursement, master's degree program, all of that. And we are proposing to remove everything on the front of the page and replace it with everything on the back. We had a little team, myself, Dina, Joe Brandel, Scott. We got together, we did some research, talked about all the different types of degrees, licenses, certifications that we encounter from staff and what that looks like. What we could afford in our budget, what we thought was reasonable. We looked at our MOUs and rewrote those, just changing the terms, the years, right? We just changed the terms, which are listed in that grid. And we made distinction if we are asking the employee to get this degree or certification, or if the employee is coming to us for this. And, you know, is it a need? Is it something that is required to teach certain classes and courses that we have, et cetera? I could read through this whole grid if you want me to, but I don't need to.
Amy, for the second line, the master's degree, in the notes, you've noted that its participation is capped and its benefit is paused.
Yeah.
So would we have to go back every year and update this?
I don't think so. I mean, if we wanted to, you know, remove that language next year, we could. We'll probably look at it next year.
Okay.
When we were looking at the budget, we just realized that, you know, we've had quite a few go through, which is great. But considering the state of the state budget, we knew we had to make some changes and be intentful with what we were doing. So, we're going to, anyone that's in it, we're going to finish, you know,
Okay.
we're gonna have them go through.
right.
We're just not having a new cohort start this year.
Okay.
Or start next school year.
Does it give you more clarity around what we're doing and how we're doing it? Is that the primary push?
It does. It's a nice process. It's much clearer than what we had. And I think it's clearer for our staff too. Any other questions about that?
Staff has to get approval from from staff
Yeah.
before, yeah.
They have to bring their syllabus of all their classes, meet with him, how it relates, all of that stuff.
Okay.
Okay, the next section is just clarification. Currently, it says teachers may earn up to 2 personal days for each 10 hours of summer curriculum development work assigned, which just sounded confusing to me. So I am proposing to change it that in lieu of compensation, teachers may earn 1 curriculum personal day for every 10 hours of summer curriculum development worked, up to a maximum of 2 curriculum personal days per summer. That is our practice. I just think it sounds clearer. And then the next one is the personal leave. This one you received tonight. All we are proposing is to strike out the line that says the exception ending the 1920 school year, so on and so on. We added that when COVID caused us to, you know, close and people couldn't use all of their days and whatnot, but we're past that all, so we think we can remove it.
does anybody have any additional questions?
The only other thing that we should go over, this extra duty is in the framework. So you guys, in your packets, you also received extra duties pay schedule. And I put in yellow on the bottom, you have the current one for 24-25, and then the proposed for 25-26. There's a few, like, just title changes and whatnot, but on the bottom, all of these were increased by 5, and any that were $27.50, I changed to $30. And then anything that is stricken on the 24-25 is removed on next year's. So that would go along with your approval for the teacher framework.
And these are for every time that they work the day, the night.
Yeah.
Not for the season.
Right, like our athletic events, yeah, if they sell tickets or they're an usher at a basketball game. These haven't been increased for quite a few years, so we thought it probably time.
Amy, do you ever have volunteers to fill in these roles, or you wouldn't have to pay a staff member?
A lot of times people will work, and if they hand in a sheet, they hand in a sheet, but a lot of times, there's many that just don't.
Okay.
I know most timers at swim meets are volunteers.
That's what I figured too.
So I budget enough, and those budgets are usually under, because I think people don't turn them in. That's all I have for you.
All right, any questions? Not, we'll move forward with approval, yep. Looking for a motion and second.
Make a motion that we accept the changes to the teacher employment framework for the 25-26 school year.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, consider approval of the authorization for the district to continue financial operations until the annual meeting, which is held October 21st, 2025. Amy?
Okay. You all have a packet that looks like this. So before I go through the prelim budget, I thought we would just go through this packet quick. The first slide is just an overview of our timeline of the budget process. Right now, we're in the early stages of the budget development. This year is a new biennial budget for the state, and they are still in negotiations. The Joint Finance Committee yesterday released their proposals, and so now it goes to, I'm not sure if it's the House or Assembly or the governor or whatever, but yesterday morning I was at the legislative breakfast meeting, and Devin Lemahue was there, and they consider the K-12 budget to be done. So I don't know how much more negotiating there will be. I'm just hoping that they come to some agreement rather soon. So within the next month or two, that is the hope, that they approve a state budget so that we can get some actual numbers and have an idea of how this is all going to play out. And like I said, the JFC considers, their budget done. We asked if they revisit things, and he said typically not. They have other budgets now that they will focus on. July through September, I just work on finalizing all the budget data as it's received from the state, as, our hiring finalizes and all of that kind of stuff. And then in October, we have our annual meeting where we, present the final budget for approval, the tax levy set, and all of that stuff. So as of now, when we go through this, you will see that the revenues will remain fairly flat. Yet to be determined is state aid, the tax levy, and federal grants. State aid is proposed to not increase. The tax levy could increase if the state aid obviously does not, because the $325 per pupil increase that will happen annually will fall to the tax levy if state equalized aid is not increased, and the Joint Finance Committee proposed to not increase state aid. Federal grants, so far, we've been advised to just budget as though those are going to continue. Federal grant, like title grants, the flow-through grant, Title I, Title II, Title IV, all of those. So right now, they're in the budget just like they are this year. We have no indication that they're not going to be received. So we're just following status quo right now. The JFC, like I said, has proposed no increase in equalized aid. The $325 per pupil increase is annual, but it would be funded by taxpayers. They proposed special education aid to increase from 33% to 35% next school year, and the following school year to 37.5%. You may remember that Scott had talked about, there was a lot of lobbying to increase that to 60% and then to like 70 to 90%. But the JFC has proposed 35. And then they also proposed a net reduction of 10 million for school-based mental health services. Still kind of waiting to see how that's going to affect it used to be the mental health grant, then they changed it to the Get Kids Ahead grant. And there's really not a lot of information out there right now about that. But that is what school-based mental health services is, related to. So I'm still waiting on that. I already said we've been advised to budget title grants like we have in the past, so I did that. And then the Get Kids Ahead funds with the mental health grant. I budgeted for it, but we'll see where that falls. What steps have we taken in building this budget? So this budget, like all of them, is very conservative. I budgeted very little increase in revenue right now because there's really no indication that it's going to go up even with the 325, with declining enrollment and stuff, it doesn't yield a lot of revenue increase. I still budgeted a lower percentage for special ed reimbursement than the 30. I budgeted even less than the 33 because what they say is not always what it really comes out to. So this budget is actually built with 29%, which will just give us a worst case scenario. The federal grant amounts are the same or less than 24-25. I reduced the flow-through grant. Those are not released yet. It has typically gone down a little bit year after year, so I reduced it, and If it's higher, then that's great. But right now, we're gonna go on that. So all of this is intentional so that we can have a worst-case scenario until the state settles their budget. The health insurance increase is reflected in this budget. We have reduced one FTE teacher, and we continue to look at our staffing numbers and student needs. That will continue through the summer. We've made sound hiring decisions. For many of our positions, we still have some positions to fill. The budget's going to fluctuate as staff are hired, insurance elections are made. Obviously, when one staff leaves, depending on who we hire and their years of service, salaries and benefits and stuff are all affected, by that. So that will all have an effect on the budget. We've made reductions to expense line items of supplies, professional development, credit reimbursement, capital projects, equipment purchases, and technology. And this budget was built with a 3% salary increase. You might remember we did give out teaching contracts with 0%. Support staff have received no increase to their salary. Everyone is at 0. And that was intentional also, but we continued to build the budget with an increase in there. So the numbers that you see tonight reflect a salary increase. What are our next steps? So we're going to continue to closely monitor the progress of the state budget and how it's going to impact our budget. Continue to reflect staffing and benefit changes in this budget until all of our positions are filled. I'm going to take another deep look at each line item to ensure its accuracy with the information that we currently have, even though I've combed through this thing about 7 times, but we'll do it again. If appropriate, once I go through this one more solid time, and Scott gets back from vacation, because he hasn't seen this or heard the good news, we're going to recommend that salary increases be approved for all staff with the intent to issue new teaching contracts by the end of July. We're going to continue to make necessary changes to the budget to remain fiscally responsible, and we will report updates to you as necessary and available. So, let's take a look at this spreadsheet. There's 2 sides. One is the 24-25 preliminary budget, and on the right side is the 25-26 prelim budget. And then on the far right, you can see the percent change of each line item. And you can see that it is next to nothing, good or bad. There's not a lot of fluctuation in this, but it was enough to give us a budget that we feel is really a good picture, a good outlook. I feel that this is pretty solid after going through this many, many times. You can see our local sources, that's our taxes and whatnot. They're not moving much. Right now, it's proposed, and this is such a guess. And this is such a guess because we don't have anything from the state. So it's, this is going to change. The interdistrict, that is our open enrollment in. So it's very, very close to what we budgeted for this year. CISA grants, they usually remain pretty static. Our state sources, it's all of our aid, which most of it is our equalization aid. You can see it's only going up, right now it's projected to only go up about 340,000. But that's not all equalization aid. Some of that's computer aid and library aid. Federal sources are reduced a little bit. Again, that's probably it's the flow-through grant, because I reduced that. And other sources, it's just kept at 55,000. So the revenues are only increasing by 0.8%, which should be pretty close to what it's probably going to be. And our expenses are only reducing by 0.001%. But in a budget that is, $35 million, a few $100,000 isn't a lot in that amount of dollars. So you can see our salaries are, they're up a little bit, but they're really only up 0.5%. And that's that salary increase in there. But it's offset by hiring, when people leave and we hire, if we have people that have been here a long time, and then we end up hiring a newer teacher, the salaries and benefits are going to offset themselves and, net in the green. Benefits are up, you can see almost 400,000, and that is about what our insurance was going up, the district's portion of that. Services, like I said, we reduced those expenses by about 300,000. Some of that, most of that, is the Fairview roofing project was in the budget for this current school year. That was $350,000. So that is out of there. Non-capital and supplies, I just reduced every supply budget by a little bit, and it adds up. Capital and building and technology, that's down. And insurance, our proposal went up a little bit. Transfer to special ed, right now, looks to be about the same, but that I fully expect to change if and when they land on an absolute %, then that number's going to change. If our reimbursement is higher, then that number's going to go down. And then, dues and fees, relatively the same. So right now, the preliminary budget has a deficit of $382,279, which is much better than the $900,000 that we talked about a couple months ago.
Where would the Fairview roofing project be included in the expenses?
In the 300s. Purchase services.
Mm-hmm. I see we're anticipating not a large increase or decrease in open enrollment or private school vouchers.
No, not right now.
Hard to know.
It's very hard to know.
Any other type of building improvement projects that are included in this budget?
No, there are none. I didn't reduce the, repairs and, facilities budgets by a lot, just because we never know what's going to come up, and if we have to have an emergency repair. So those budgets are relatively the same, but there's no big projects that are going to be planned.
So is the biggest shift of making up that gap of what was originally 900,000 down to that 380? Is that based primarily on the salary differential of more tenured teachers to newer teachers?
It
Even though
is.
you're adding a 3% increase across the board?
Yeah, I track the difference from people leaving to new. And it, right now, I think I have a couple to add in there, but before, we were like positive like $270,000. And we also reduced one FTE. And
Okay.
I always estimate, that's usually between 80 and 100 by the time you figure salary and benefits. So that's 360, 370. And then you take out the Fairview project of 350, you're already up to 700,000.
Cool.
Any little increase in the special ed reimbursement will help. And like I said, this transfer amount is with about 29 to 30%, so it would only improve from there. Which means then that deficit would go down. Barring no huge changes in special ed staffing.
You made mention that you think you'd be able to approve the teacher contracts in July. That would be prior to knowing the budget?
Maybe, depends. If they do not settle on a state budget, then what we have in place right now will continue.
Okay.
Which is why I did not increase the special ed percent. Because right now it's 33%. So I budgeted 30. And the 325 will, per pupil increase will remain because that's automatic. So those are the only two big things that would be affected. So I budgeted as though there's not gonna be a state budget. So it can only, if they approve what the joint finance committee proposed, the only thing that would change for us is the special ed reimbursement rate would go up, which means our deficit would go down. Because this transfer for special ed is assuming that our reimbursement rate is only at 29 to 30%. So our revenues are lower than what they could potentially be. So I feel comfortable recommending the salary increase just because I know how low I budgeted our revenues. You know, like, there's nothing extra in here.
Amy, do we still have a little bit of the limited funds coming in?
So we got a check from the city a week or two ago for like 565,000. And I think there's going to be maybe 125 or so, but yes. And that will probably have to get posted into 25, 26 school year. So that's not in here either.
Okay.
Okay.
But we would bring the teacher, the salary increases and stuff to you for approval in July, and which would give us still some time to really look at this budget and maybe get some more information from the state. That's why I had put July 31 in here. And then it would also keep us from having to do a lot of back pay for all of the teaching staff, so. Barring no huge changes or, you know, waves, that's my goal.
Okay. Any other questions? I think then we need to consider the approval of the authorization for the district to continue financial operations until the annual meeting, which is held October 21st. Could I get a motion and a second?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right, jumping to number 8, consider the approval of Plymouth School District's membership renewal to WIA for the 25-26 school year. Dina?
Yes, so this is done annually, every year. So the board would consider approval to renew our membership. I talked to Dan Knaus this morning, and there have been no changes from previous years, and essentially this allows us to participate in the different state tournaments.
Any questions? No. All right, could I get a motion and a second?
Make a motion to renew WIA for 25-26 school year. Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
All right, on to policy. Consider the approval of the second reading of Neola Policy 5411. Dina?
This is the second reading, and this relates to the third grade promotion and retention for students at risk per Act 20.
Any questions with that? All right. I got a motion and a second.
I move we approve the second reading of Neola Policy 5411.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, period of public participation. Nobody signed up, so we'll jump right into the board liaison reports. Community Ed, Sally.
Summer school has started, but community ed also has additional options for kids to keep them busy, active, and learning. They have a tennis camp, arts and craft camp. They have racket sports. They also have the Friday play groups happening and a habitat hike. They also have nourishing classes, so they have a canning 101, a freezer meal workshop, wild food and wild medicine plant tour, and then herbs for women's health is what they have on the agenda. That's it.
Sounds good, thank you. Plymouth Foundation, Janelle?
The foundation takes the months of June and July off, so they did not meet this month, but we'll just remind everyone, thank you for your support, and if you could fill up your gas tank at the gas station across from Antonette's, we'd appreciate it. Over on Mill Street, we get a little piece of that if you go to the Plymouth Pride Pump. Thank you.
Sounds good, good reminder. Moving on, Family Resource Center, Kathy.
They continue to have their Bring Your Own Baby at the Mead Library, the Biddy Book Club at the Mead Library, and Tiny Tots Playgroup at the Plymouth Library. They continue to have those programs throughout the summer. One other program coming up is Mom's Day Out at the Sheboygan Falls YMCA. It's Power Yoga Lattes. It's a combination of yoga and Pilates. Sounds fun but hard. On July 13th from 1:30 to 4, it's $5. And you can register online if you're interested in it. You can go to familyresourcesheboygan.org for details and registration on all their programs. They do fill up fast, so check it out.
Awesome. Thank you for the update. Moving on to personnel changes and updates. Dina?
We're asking the board to consider the approval of a 100% limited-term contract for Jill Williams to be a business education teacher at Plymouth High School, beginning with the 25-26 school year. Jill holds a bachelor's and master's degree from Wisconsin of Whitewater, University of Wisconsin Whitewater. This will be his first year of teaching. Consider the approval of a 70% contract for Elizabeth Anzia to be a reading specialist at Riverview Middle School, beginning with the 25-26 school year. Elizabeth holds a bachelor's and master's degree from Concordia University. This will be Elizabeth's 23rd year of teaching. And then consider the resignation request from Caitlin Sibley, agri-science teacher at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Caitlin has been with the district for 6 years.
All right, I think we need to make a mo-
Limited term contract.
That's for 1 year then.
Okay, we need to make a motion, unless there's any other questions, right? No, we need to make a motion and second for the approval of the new contracts.
Make a motion, we accept what was read. Was read.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, and then we have some travel requests. Dina?
Well, actually, we have one support staff
Oh,
update.
I'm sorry.
Jennifer Vandersandy, special education aide at Plymouth High School, has submitted her resignation. Jennifer has served with the Plymouth School District for 9 years.
Thank you, sorry about that.
Nope, that's okay.
All right, well, now we'll move on to travel requests.
Yes,
Dina.
so we are asking you to consider the out-of-state travel request from Tracy Heinbuck, agri-science teacher, to take the high school students to the National FFA Convention in Indianapolis, Indiana, October 29th to November 1st, 2025. This request is in line with our board policies. Expenses will be responsibility of the students and/or their parents through fundraising. Also asking to consider the out-of-state travel request from Cody Wisman, band teacher, to take band students to march at the Magic Kingdom in Orlando, Florida, November 21st to the 26th in 2025. This request is in line with the board policies. Expenses will be the responsibility of students and/or their parents through fundraising. And then finally, consider the out-of-state travel request from Gail Gran, girls varsity fast pitch coach, to take the team to Chicago, Illinois, April 17th to the 19th, 2026. This request is in line with board policies, expenses, and will be the responsibility of the students and/or their parents through fundraising.
Does anybody have any questions?
What is the softball team, what is it for?
They usually every April go and participate in a tournament, just preseason tournament. It rotates to different locations. Sometimes it's in Wisconsin Dells, but they usually go on a trip every year.
All right, I need a motion and a second to accept or to approve the travel requests.
I move we approve the travel requests.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. Don't believe we had any items from the consent agenda, and that moves us to the president's report. General, just thank you, right? We, again, succeeded, or had another successful year of school. It seems like, you know, it just kind of happens that way, right? But it takes a lot, right? It takes everybody in this room, takes all the teachers and assistants and the support staff and custodians and the parents and grandparents and of course the kids, right? And it makes it a special place, but it all comes together every year, and it's a special thing. We don't really take time to think about it, but we should be very grateful for it. And so that is my report. Superintendent, Dina, do you have any? Assistant, sorry.
So we have quite a few celebrations to discuss. So 187 seniors received their Plymouth High School diploma on Sunday, June 1st. A special thanks to Mr. Brandel and his high school team for putting together a wonderful ceremony. And it was a gorgeous day, and it was great to see everybody in the park. 12 faculty members received their master's degrees from UWGB this spring, and they were all a part of our cohort over the last 2 years. They had the 8th grade graduation promotion ceremony on Thursday, June 5th at Riverview. There was, again, another great night, great weather, a wonderful turnout by family and friends, and a big thank you to Mr. Dorgan and Keely May, and any other members of the Riverview team who helped plan that event. Summer school has started. The last 2 days have been quite busy here. The halls are buzzing with lots of different kids. It's been really wonderful this year. We have had all of our principals here the last few days to help just navigate for the students to have a familiar face. And in the district office, most of us are popping out into the hallways in between the classes just to look for that little guy or gal that has their nose in a schedule trying to figure out where to go. So it's been really successful in the first 2 days, so it's great to have everybody here. WIAA state qualifiers, we had Devin Miller, who finished 4th in the 100-meter dash this year at the D2 state track meet, which is exciting. We also had our doubles tennis team, Gianni Frausto and Kelvin Baltus, who finished 3rd in D2 state, which I believe Dan Canau said he believes it's the highest we've ever placed in tennis. So that was exciting. FFA, we have a student, a huge congratulations to Aiden DeMonk. He has been named the Wisconsin State winner in the Diversified Horticultural Proficiency area. So his really hard work and dedication has earned him that great honor. And his application now advances him to participate in the national FFA level, which doesn't happen very often. So it's very exciting for that to happen. We also have another unique occurrence. So this year, Ann Whedon, who she often is here with our AFS kids, she nominated one of our staff members for her creativeness within her curriculum and making sure that she has more modern curriculum. So she nominated her through an AFS grant. It's called the 2025 Youth Assembly through AFS. And I have to laugh in her email. She says it's for youngish global educators. So she gets to go to a conference in New York, August 7th through the 11th, and everything is covered, airfare, lodging, and expenses. So it's pretty cool that she was bestowed that honor. And honestly, on a little side note, Ann Whedon was just nominated as one of our Plymouth High School or Plymouth School District's Hall of Fame candidates. So she'll be honored that in October. Let's see. Other than that, upcoming events, summer school is going to keep rolling along. Horizon, if you've driven by, you've seen construction is going on to update that area, so that's happening. And summer curriculum has been already in big swing. I've had a few meetings with staff this week already. I had 2 today. I have a few more tomorrow. It's just exciting to see, sort of that refreshed look on people's faces, but that they're ready to dig in and get working on important stuff to kick off the next school year, even though we're only a few weeks out. That is all I have.
Awesome, thank you. And then last item, we need to make a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.